One of the aspects of the built environment that we haven't really covered today, and maybe that's not surprising because maybe 5 years ago it would have been the only thing we spoke about. One of the aspects we haven't looked at in detail today is project management, how innovations in project management may be changing our capabilities and our perceptions of the future built environment. Anil, TBH has an enviable record of project management, engaged over the years in some of the biggest projects in the world. What do you see as the state of innovation upcoming in project management, and how are you delivering those innovations right now?
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. So basically, we are, the topic of this panel as well as the day is about architecture. We are on the side of delivery, as well as we usually give our services from sometimes the vision reports, having the idea, getting the board approvals, seed funding, going all the way to delivery and operations sometimes. So this gives us the ability to oversee the challenges from design going all the way to delivery. So obviously everyone has an appetite to implement new technologies, but it all comes with challenges with adoption rates, the expenses, the owners, investors not seeing the short-term benefits. When they see long-term benefits, they don't want to get into it very quickly. But obviously in the project management, the biggest challenge I will see is right now we are all dealing with, in Saudi Arabia, in this region, mega-scale projects, right?
Absolutely.
And when you look at that, I can give one practical example that I'm working on right now, a major downtown development in Saudi Arabia, and we are supporting the designers there. There are around 45, 50 sub-consultants, especially sub-consultants. At any point in time, there are around 250, 300 stakeholders, and these are all across the world. Oh my goodness,
really?
So dealing with this, basically, normally we don't know the design better than the designers, our clients, but they called us because you need to create a system to be able to allow these people to collaborate with each other, and basically this all serves to the master program and the overall objectives. So obviously cloud-based collaboration platforms are helping this a lot. Interactive dashboards where you can basically remove the manual effort,
yes,
and basically try to get real-time data is quite important as well. We are using these quite often. One of the aspirations, one of the ambitions is to use the virtual construction. So in design, this is being used, I would say, efficiently right now over the last couple of years. But one of the biggest challenges, people invest in the equipment, expensive software and equipment to be able to build the digital twins and the models. But then when you want to maintain this model, there comes the challenge because people don't invest in the human resources who are going to maintain and in real time update these models. So you see a concrete being poured at site, but the model comes 1 month later.
Oops.
So you are not able to use this benefit basically. Yeah. So to summarize, basically, I think there is great benefits in using technology and innovation, and there are amazing tools at the moment. Like you can put a helmet on your head, walk around the site quickly, and you can get basically snack information. Totally. Objects are being identified by AI-empowered software. But right now, I see it more to be increasing the efficiency rather than taking our jobs per se. But in future, I think it's going to be changing because right now we start to talk about these AI agents. So I have seen a couple of examples where you can create an entire workflow and utilize different software to do certain tasks. And this workflow is basically all executed by different AI agents. So I think we are going to go to somewhere interesting. And we, as TBH, trying to also look forward, and based on our 2030 strategy, we have an in-house software that we developed. We have 60 years of project experience, but were we able to get the benefit of all of this project information, the actual data over the years? No. So we are trying to basically use this software, AI-empowered software, and try to create benchmarks.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but one of the really scary things here is that much of what you have described is actually de rigueur. It's compulsory to have that raft of capabilities on many competitive tenders for PIF projects, for example. And I think these days it's very much a case of you're in until you're out, you know, and I think these things are becoming increasingly necessary. What do you think, Nima? What are the next steps in technical design that are going to come from that availability of AI? And how is technical design then going to elevate project management and delivery?
I believe Anil said it very well. To be honest, I presume the technology goes hand in hand with architecture. So if whatever we are getting from, let's say, 30 years ago, we were thinking about the computers that are coming to take our job. Then after that, we said, oh, CAD is coming, they're going to take our job. Then BIM is coming, they're taking our job. All of these things are becoming our tools these days that we can manage the things properly. The way that we are making these CDEs, common data environments, that you can work globally. It doesn't matter where you are sitting at the moment. You can manage your project even from the US while you are having the construction on site in Saudi. And also the way that you can make these digital twins to understand exactly how this product that you are designing is going to be built. Time is important, time is money. That's the budget. The clients these days, they want to make a product good, sufficient, and on budget. So this is very important how you are making all of these things together and using all of these tools like AI, like BIM, digital twins, 4D, 5D, and also for sharing these kind of information with your clients that normally they are not technical, that they can understand what are the requirements to have a successful projects. I think that aspects of the project management that you have to deal with some people that they don't have that kind of background of architecture and structure and understanding of the buildings, that you can bring this technology to them, and like with the virtual reality, they feel the space before getting to that.
Very good
is
point.
a very important
They
thing.
feel the user experience before it's ever been created.
Exactly.
I love what you just said about you assume that technology is architecture. What do you think, Dr. Dalia? As a senior academic, how do you see technology changing the shape of the curriculum? How do you see the impact of technology? Is technology architecture? What do you think?
Okay, so I'll tell you what happened 4 years ago. We had a conference for all the educators all over the world, if I would say, and how we can get together and fight that new monster called AI. And now we're trying as much as possible to incorporate AI in each and every aspect, each and every course, and how it's becoming a tool that we have to teach the students how to use it well, and how we completely shift from, we cannot now ask a student to deliver like a research paper anymore, because they will just copy and paste what you give them, and then they will give you the outcome in
of course
fraction.
they would. Yes, of course they would.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not an option anymore. So now we have to teach the student how to run an analysis for what AI is giving them, and how they can use it to incorporate. And a couple of years ago, students were so much concerned if AI is going to take their place. But now I have the feeling it was more like AutoCAD was being forbidden when I was a student.
Yes.
And we started to incorporate it when I was in my third year. Some professors were against it. And now it's the same thing. It's becoming a tool that we have to help the student to use it, and how they can implement it on different phases of the design, and even in theory courses as well, and what they can take out of it.
Aya, you're with one of the biggest, most successful international engineering practices in the world, arguably the most successful. How do you see there the role of AI, and is, as Nima so nicely puts it, is technology architecture? How are things changing there at the moment?
Honestly, Paul, I have to say this before I answer your question. This feels surreal. I was here years ago as a student in the audience watching you ask panelists questions, and now here I am.
And here you are.
I can't believe it. And this is such a proud moment for me, so excuse me if I'm smiling too much.
We're honored to see you here, to be honest. We're honored to see you here.
Actually, I agree with Dr. Dalia. There was such a fear about being too dependent on AI. But I had this analogy that I loved, which is mathematics back then didn't use calculators. And now we've advanced maths to be able to use calculators as a tool. And I think one day that AI is just going to become a tool. However, we need to integrate it responsibly, and that requires a lot of work, because let's discuss how AI's infrastructure isn't fully sustainable. Honest. Its massive potential is huge, but one large model can emit as nearly 5 times emissions as a car would, even the manufacturing of that car.
Absolutely, yeah. But I'm fascinated by something you just said. Like, so, for instance, within the field of mathematics, because use of the calculator has become totally universal, the kinds of curriculum we see at degree level maths has gone through the roof, because the subject has evolved in accordance with the tools you have to solve the problems. So, you know, in the old days when I was a student, you know, nobody at undergraduate level was an expert on set theory or factorials management, things like that. These days, even at secondary school level, that would be commonplace, because you have the tools to reach those calculus equations with. You can do that with the tools. So are we now going to see an elevation in the standards of architecture and elevations in what constitutes best practice because we have advanced AI tools to do it? What do you think, Tiago?
Look, I like to say that I still start any project with a hand sketch. So
yeah, there you go.
Where it gets scary is that my guys take the hand sketch and all of a sudden they can render something out of it, you know what I mean? Obviously, there are, you know, part of the architectural process, there are a lot of steps that are still, you know, not there, part of the AI process. And, you know, I call AI a little bit like Google on steroids kind of thing, you know what I mean? It's just like a great research tool which can give you really fast results, which makes potentially the design process much faster. Give us many more options, which then the main problem is actually how to choose the right option. But I think you know, we had like several discussions in our studio about AI and how we can integrate AI into our design process. You know, the first impact, I need to say, is a little bit scary, because, you know, we are on kind of an inception stage, and your first reaction is like, oh, you know, in 10 years, this will replace the architects because they can do pretty much everything. When you start getting into actually what AI can do, is pretty much taking references from a lot of other projects. Obviously, it's a great tool, for example, in terms of space planning, you know, all the parameters that you can actually input into the programs, and how that can help the full design process, and we'll get for sure in the future much more advanced. That opens completely new ways of designing. I still think that in architecture is pretty much based, you know, you still need to do a lot of the groundwork, and you still need to you know, study the past in order to actually to invent the future. I strongly believe that. So AI is a great tool. We actually working with it in our studios, but I don't think that will resolve or move forward architecture or the architectural discourse moving forward.
Very interesting.
I think is a
Very
tool.
Interesting. Yeah. Like, one of the topics we touched on the other day was the topic of the quest for sustainability, and how the future, the steps towards, the innovations, the steps towards the future. We're seeing the quest for sustainability becoming more and more of a given. But I have no doubt whatsoever that if we had somebody like, say, Engi Jaba here from Climatise Serco, she would say, yes, well, you can say whatever you like about sustainability, but 9/10 of it is in the project delivery, where it's value engineered out, the teams aren't skilled enough to work with sustainable materials, and so on and so on. What do you think, Anil, as a project delivery specialist, what do you think about the role of delivering sustainability, and what innovations in that delivery are we now seeing?
I think one of the most important things is to bridge the gap between the sustainability considerations and sustainability strategy at the start of the project that you do implement on design and how it reflects on delivery. And that usually is a big gap because in especially big scale developments, you see specialist partners coming into the picture on and off. They do their job, they develop their strategy, or they bring their brief, and then they get out of it. So there is not all the time a guardianship throughout the delivery. So when they are not there, basically in the delivery, how you can address these? Are these buildable? Are the contractors in the markets available to bring these materials? Is supply chain supporting what we committed in our sustainability brief? I think what we can do is, again, maybe using AI-supported databases, smart dashboards to basically bring these 2-3 different elements together and basically try to understand everything holistically. So when a decision is being triggered in design, we can directly make sanity checks in our supply chain, our procurement routes, our contractor capabilities, availability in the market. So I think if we try to fill that gap, which we are not far off because the current technology level supports these kind of innovations. You just need to do the legwork, to be honest with you.
Like something that we heard Anastasia Prosina talking about earlier this morning was the incredible requirements, the stipulations for sustainability are so challenging when you're starting to build on other planets and so on and so on. But for instance, do you think that the role of AI will help omit human error in the development and delivery of sustainable things? Can it create the right training, the right checklists for site managers to ensure that, the wall filling that will save energy is actually put in place rather than left out because it will cost another 3 days to put that in place and they can't spend 3 days? Do you think it will iron out that kind of thing?
100%. Right now, I think the human factor is quite important. The correct data being inputted into the systems is very important because right now, majority of the AI softwares or large language models that we are coming across is driven by the data inside.
Absolutely.
Just to give you a context, so there's a funny dilemma about AI. So when you try to ask the most common ChatGPT or Cloud or any other AI model, can you draw me a clock showing, 3:25? It always gives you 10:10 because majority, like 90% of the clock pictures in the internet is showing 10:10.
Oops. Yeah,
because it's
absolutely.
aesthetically more appealing. Or you ask for a full glass of wine, you never see a full glass of wine because it's not how you do it. Yeah, it's not aesthetically appealing. So they rely on that data. So basically, I believe if you draw the parameters, if you give the fundamental guidelines and set up your policies and train your agents, you can basically make sure the delivery is warranted by these policies and your strategies, and also you have the correct control and checkpoints throughout the delivery. I'm sure AI will enhance this, yeah.
Nima, can we honestly say at this moment that the quest or the pursuit of sustainability is a core and integral part of technical design?
I would like to go one step back.
Go on.
As a human,
yeah,
we are the one who made this chaos all over the place. So we are the people that actually we realize now that we need to be more sustainable and look at that sustainability. So that's why now we are more looking into these kind of stuff. And we need to get it to the other extreme. It's not, it's not optional anymore. It's mandatory. We have Estadama, we have a green building code, all of those requirements. Absolutely. We need to follow all of those kind of stuff. But again, the human is the person that we have to control as well. For example, one of the recent projects, we had the lead plutonium requirement. We delivered in that stage, but the person who went to that building said, I want to put my AC on temperature 18. This is lead plutonium building. It should be set on 23. So these are the factors that we also need to consider, that we as a human, we need to change ourselves to get it there. But technical aspects is easy. You have all the guidelines, you have the codes, you have to comply with them, you have new materials, you look at that, the new things are coming. There are even further steps like net zero, passive house, all of those kind of stuff you can implement. But if as a human we don't change our behavior, we are not going to achieve that.
And I think as well, we are starting to see a change in behavior, for instance, from some of the big development and real estate champions. For instance, when we had our last edition of Middle East Consultant Awards, one of my judges was the head of sustainability at Shoba Realty. And he was a very, very senior chartered accountant by training, whose job had evolved to being the person that could factor in these immensely challenging and intricate requirements for sustainable materials and sustainable delivery from the get-go. And that was his job, to create the mathematics and the economic formulae that would make that possible. Very amazing. Dr. Dalia, you know, are we in a position now, like I know the ARB changed the master's curriculum on Thursday or Friday of last week, for instance, and now has said internationally there are 3 new types of master's program that can be eligible. Are we seeing factored into that steps towards sustainability? Because I don't think we are we? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay. So there is a couple of approaches that we're moving into. So for example, that you can have a direct master degree. That's one thing. So you don't have to go through bachelor first. So it's direct master. That's one option.
Yeah.
The other option is the bachelor degree is not all on campus or all academia. So you have to go into the fields and spend about a year. So you spend about 3 years in academia, and then you go 1 year into the field in order to get your degree. So there are a couple of ways that you, now you don't have to spend that much time on campus because the information is there. So I'll tell you, it's I don't know if it's a sad or a fun story, but the other day I gave the students a quiz in the class, and then I heard the amazing Siri saying, so I gave them a question of comparison. So supposedly that was a good question.
Yeah.
Then I heard the amazing Siri saying, there you go, a comparison between the 2 things that you asked for. And the student had, like, her earpiece got disconnected. So I knew that she was cheating. But then at the same time, I went back to the question now I have to even change the way I'm asking the question. Or do I need to ask them these questions because basically they can just get them in 2 seconds?
Like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how much information you can give the students in the class versus how much they can get from outside or from the tip of their device is now, I believe, is a paradigm shift on how education should happen. So it's already being, we're seeing it. Some of the courses are being switched to online classes. Some of the courses, we stop giving information in each and every session. You give the students an online class to take for a week, and then they come back and discuss what they had in this online course. So yes, it's changing.
Now, you've made a completely fresh point occur to me here, Dr. Dalia. Potentially the role of mentoring within organizations to bring on board these incredibly imperative areas that may otherwise have to be acquired through years and years and years of gritty project experience. At Arup, just being terribly inquisitive, at Arup, is there a kind of mentoring program that would enable somebody coming into the business to understand the urgency of understanding the sustainability agenda, for instance?
In terms of sustainability, it's no longer a choice for us. It's honestly embedded into us at this point. It's a responsibility, I feel. But in terms of mentorship, It's actually such a great program because I was part of it. We are in collaboration with Heriot University, and we speak to the current architectural engineering students, and I even attended one of their panels, and I was part of the jury. It was kind of a full circle moment for me, judging students when I was in their place, worried if the judges noticed this tiny mistake that I made. And I'm telling you now, no one notices unless you tell them. And I'm very grateful
That sounds very good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I mean, I'm very grateful for Arab for being so supportive of giving back to the community. And I think as engineers, we all want to give back at some point. So having that leeway was great for me.
Yeah. What do you think, Tiago?
Look, for sustainability and again, look, I'm part of our organization, U+A, which has been recently acquired by Aegis, and Aegis, their main mantra is actually sustainability and
Absolutely.
And that's very, very important for us as designers, obviously, and it's part of one of the most important KPIs in any brief, how our buildings are sustainable. Joking a little bit, is like, if you want a completely sustainable building, you just don't build it, and you'll be fully
don't even think about it. Yeah, absolutely.
So obviously, it's all about mitigating, and creating systems, and a lot of it is actually using common sense in the way we design. In having sense of place, understanding the climate, understanding some of the constraints where you build, in order to make the building much more efficient, energy-wise. I think even now relating a little bit to AI and technology, I think if anything, that's where I think all the integration in terms of the BMS systems, how this is actually helping to make the buildings more cost efficient, reading data and helping with all of that is really, really important. And I think that all that technology is going to evolve, tremendously and help us a lot. But again, I think, and going back, I was here, a couple of hours ago with one of people that you're interviewing, and you were talking about passive methods.
Absolutely.
And I think those are actually the most important ones. How we can integrate natural ventilation. Use a lot of times old methods that have been tested for hundreds of years into our buildings are really important. Obviously, then it comes the cost factor and how much you need to pay for them, obviously. But I think what is interesting as well, and when we develop, for example, residential buildings here in the region, compared to probably 10, 15 years ago, is that even from the consumer side, there is a strong desire to have these in place. People which are buying villas or an apartment actually have that interest in mind, and that's a mindset is changing, and I think that's definitely the way forward. A little bit like what you're saying about before we change the buildings, actually we need to change a little bit the way we think, and I think that mindset is becoming quite strong now.
Anil, what do you think about this? Because I'm very interested in this, this very proactive approach that brings passive sustainability to the fore, the right location, the right placement. But then again, the delivery of that is also phenomenally important, so that you have the mixture of passive and active. TBH has worked on the orientation, the planning and the delivery of some of the biggest projects in the world, Marina Bay Sands, Cairo Metro, classic examples. How important do you see that relationship between active and passive? And what would you say are the clues to the future in doing that properly?
Well, it's a good question. So I'm not an architect. My wife is an architect, and I've always been around architects as a civil engineer. So our relationship, but I'm on the architect side. So when I get involved in big-scale design developments, what I realize is how much influence actually you have as a designer on human behavior. you can basically decide on where they are going to walk. Where do you want them to be directed to? Do you want them to be walking to a certain place, or do you want them to take the metro? So all of these decisions basically contribute to your sustainability targets, right? So I think it's a fine balance between those active and passive measures. First of all, definitely I agree that our behavior as human beings and as the contributors to the industry, as designers, as engineers, is very important. But on top of that, there are a lot of enhancements coming together with technology as well. Just to give context, I'm super interested in home automation, right?
Yes.
And home automation can contribute to a lot of efficiencies and savings and contribution to your sustainability targets as an individual or in a bigger scale as a country, as a nation, as entire human beings. So right now with what you call natural language programming. So in 20 years ago, everyone was encouraging their kids to go and study software engineering. 5-10 years after that, everyone encouraged them to work on data analytics.
Yes.
So, but right now they are saying it's useless. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying useless, but right now you are going to be able to tell what you need, and an app, the backbone of it, is going to be created from that. So right now, when I'm doing my little home automation projects, I'm able to use one tiny device that I bought, write very simple code by telling what I need, and basically I provide the automation. So I think with technology, all of these passive and active initiatives and targets that we are putting for sustainability, the measures, are going to be enhancing even further. And my opinion in summary is they need to be in fine balance.
So you've used the nice word summary. To summarize our session today, innovation steps towards the future, I'd like to ask each of you for one sentence describing what you see as the most important innovation that will help us deliver the future. Tiago.
I got a hot potato in it. Look, I think you know, on the architectural design side, I think it's very important that we control all technologies and innovations moving forward, and you know that definitely will change a little bit the way we practice in the studios and what programs will use. One of the concerns that I have is that I don't want architecture to, you know, or architects in the future to become programmers, you know, or computer programmers, and I think that's really important. Architectural as a language, as a practice, is very specific in terms of, you know, building creation, spatial creation, use of light. I think definitely the tool of AI will change the way we potentially design buildings, and that's probably the technology is so advanced already. I cannot even imagine the capability that we will have in 20 years. And the way, I think what is most important is the way we control the technology to move architecture forward, to create great buildings, great spaces, you know what I mean? And that will be kind of my main message. You know.
That's a very good message, Tiago. Aya.
I mean, as a young engineer, I believe innovation is everywhere. But if I had to narrow it down, I do agree that the growth of AI, automation, machine learning, especially now that we can predict things way beyond our years.
Yeah.
But if we had to narrow it down, I say human essence. I think that's one of the greatest innovations of all time. We must not lose that, especially with AI on the rise. I think we need to go back to our old methods, like everyone's been saying, find the person within us, and that will lead us to the greatest innovations of all time.
Okay, Dr. Dahlia.
Okay, I think I'm very close to what they said, to implement as many as we want in terms of AI tools, and know that these are tools and don't take away the human aspect out of it. don't let the tools design for us. So just like what we say to our students, AutoCAD is computer aid design tool. It doesn't design for you. I think this is our role to educate Gen Z that they do not take whatever is being given or said by AI tools as the holy piece of information. And like, I chat GPT that, and it gave me this information. For example, I remember I asked the history students to incorporate a historical building, and they gave me Burj Khalifa. And then the question was, why do you include Burj Khalifa? They said, ChatGPT gave it to me. I said, just use your common sense. Burj Khalifa was built. It's not a historical building. Yeah. So yes, I think this is a main role to think, use our own, I don't want to call it our intelligence, not the artificial intelligence, which is a bit challenging, I guess.
That's a good distinction. Anil.
I think I would say accessibility and creativity will increase, because I agree with Dr. Dalia. So basically, we don't want things to be completely done by machines for us, right? So we still want to do something because that feeds us, that satisfies us. We basically try to achieve something. But at the same time, when certain gaps are filled, you have more room to focus on other things. So I think that's going to be an interesting balance. But at the same time, everything is going to be more accessible and buildable if you think from the architectural perspective. So previously, when we think and dream about something, there will be big challenges in front of us. We would overcome those challenges, but maybe the speed that we were overcoming those challenges were much slower. So right now, I think that's going to exponentially grow, and everything will be more buildable and more accessible to people. And I totally agree with all the panelists that we shouldn't lose those human touch, and we should stay in contact with everything that we do.
Nima.
I think they said it all, so that's it.
We didn't leave anything.
The essence and the pivot here is human, as long as we consider that when all the other tools are here to fill the gap and to help you to make the decision, do the legwork, those kind of stuff, that you can spend your time, energy, and intelligence on something more meaningful and useful for all of us and for the future.
Thank you all very much indeed for a very meaningful and very intense panel about steps towards the future.
We want to hear your opinion, Paul. What's your opinion? What's the future of innovation?
Sorry, Aya? Sorry.
Your opinion on the future of innovation.
Don't stop innovating, my opinion, because I think innovation is everything. I think, let me give you an example. I always remember speaking to the founder and CEO of Beehive, the company which gives investment to SMEs, fantastic company. And I know their founder very well. And he was saying to me that companies that fail to innovate don't just stay where they are, they go backwards. And he said, the problem, Paul, if you speak to an economist, because the cost of living doubles every 8 years, a company that stays where it is isn't just losing half of its revenue, it's actually losing 3/4 of its revenue every 8 years. And that's a stunning, chilling statistic. And as he said to me, you only move forward in any market if you differentiate yourself and you innovate. So I would say, don't stop innovating. Please, huge round of applause for our panelists. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you.